What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the AM, guys. So the past couple episodes, or at least in a few of the episodes I've really talked about long-term goals and starting the journey. I also want to talk about one of the things that I constantly think about with long-term goals, okay? So there are a few initiatives that I mentioned that we're launching internally within the company that will really come to full fruition probably within 5 years, right? 5 years. And I'm not saying we're not going to see benefits within year 1 or 2. We will. However, we're thinking and estimating that some of the stuff that we're doing will have peak impact at about 5 years. The thing about this and the thing about life, and especially within business, is speed. How fast can you get where you are going? How fast can you execute on something? How fast can you implement? And how fast can you have feedback and see results? See, speed is everything. The faster you're able to ship and iterate, the more feedback you're going to have, which means the closer you are going to get to the goal line. You cannot get to the goal line without feedback and without iterating. So one of the things I'm constantly thinking about is how do we shorten that 5-year mark? How do we shorten and how do we speed up to get faster? How do we iterate faster? It's interesting because a lot of my personality is geared around long term, but also trying to bring the long term sooner and quicker. I think it's really important not just to go, okay, cool, it's a long-term goal, and then you brush it off. No, how do you climb the mountain faster? How do you become more efficient? I talked about in one of the episodes about having more impact and faster impact and a greater impact within the team and within the company. And this is right along the same lines. How do we execute faster? How do we move through this process faster? And is it possible to bring that 5-year timeline forward sooner? And the answer is yes. Okay. The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. Is it possible? Yes. If anybody ever says no, they're not telling you the truth, because it's possible. That the question is, are we capable of doing it? That's a different question, not whether it's possibility. And oftentimes people mistake capability for possibility. And I think that's a huge mistake. I'll probably talk on that next time or for a later episode, capability versus possibility. But anyways, the question is it possible to move it up? Yes. How can we do that with our current assets and with what we currently have in-house? Do we need to bring something in from outside of house, right? Different tools, different skill sets? Do we need to supplement what we currently have? Those are questions to go through. However, I personally like the idea of being creative. I really like how obstacles and how less options produce creativity. So think about this. The less options you have available to you, the more creative you'll become. The harder things become, the more creative you'll become. This is why a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people, they come from nothing, right? And then they move through that process to become very successful. Why? They have less options, so they have to do it, right? Who cares about possibility? It's a have to. And then all of a sudden you become super creative, hyper creative to get where you need to go. That principle really applies. When there's pressure and when there's less options, there's more creative. And it's interesting how a lot of people from the middle class are not as successful because they have more options. That's just one of my theories. Anyways, back to shortening the timeline. I think if you are stewarding long-term initiatives and goals and visions, it is very important to keep this question in mind. How do we shorten the timeline? How do we bring that goal and that goalpost closer to us? How do we get it closer? How do we have speed in this, right? 5 years is an awful long time. Cool. It's a long time, and it's time we're not going to get back. So how do we move it closer? How do we measure? How do we actually move through what we need to move through in order to drive success within the company and with the initiative? And I talked about this as well. Asking the right questions are so important. If you're asking the wrong questions, you're never going to have the right answer. If you are asking questions that are off course, you will always be steered in the wrong direction. It's questions that steer the course of where you're going to go as a person. It's questions that steer the course of solving the problem or missing the solution altogether. Questions, not the right answer. Not knowing how to do things. It's not those things that solve the problem. Past experiences can help us, but it's questions. So anyways, guys, I'll leave it at that for right now. Catch you later. Peace.